Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, here with my guy, Mr. Mike Zappy, out in San Antonio, Texas. Texas Rangers, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Stars, and Golden State Warriors super fan. He also has a bit of an affection for those San Antonio Spurs, dual residents. I am your host, Richie. You know who I am, Giant super fan. And definitely going to hit on some NFL free agency talk, as two notable Giants did not get franchised. We are also going to hit on our predictions for the American League West, which has a Dodgers team that spent quite the fortune on two particular players, adding to their already illustrious star-studded roster. And we are going to hit on who, if anyone, can take care of that division or beat them even more so when it counts, which would be later on in the playoffs, of course. So, man, Zappy, this free agency is going to explode. It's going to be crazy, dude.
It is crazy, man, because we look at how the salary cap went up more than expected it to go up, and then we see all the running backs, the Josh Jacobs, Saquon, Derrick Henry, Pollard, DeAndre Swift. I mean, the list continues. And then we see a bunch of safeties today get released. Jerome Baker has been released. We look at who else? Oh, the Seattle Seahawks releasing both Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. I mean,
that's right.
And then the Jaguars also releasing their safety. And now we're talking about 5, 6, 7 safeties strong. And we haven't even started, man. We're still expecting probably another 50 cuts in the next couple of days as teams figure out what they want to do going into free agency. Obviously, the new league year is 1 week away, so that's why we're seeing these teams make these moves. And we still have teams like, for example, my Cowboys, who were still $4 million over the cap. There's still the talks about CeeDee Lamb and his inevitable extension, the talks about Dak and will we extend him, the restructuring of players, Trayvon Diggs, for example, Terrence Steele, Tank. Those are guys that will likely get restructured, but to set themselves up, because when I look at also guys that did not get tagged, for example, Christian Wilkins, right there, that for me is
was kind of shocking.
And to me, that's Dallas's number one target now for free agency.
You would think
the biggest thing that's been hurting this team, this defense, has been their inability to stop the run. That going out and getting a Christian Wilkins helps that tremendously. Chris Jones, another one. You know, they chose to tag Snead. They tagged him because they're going to keep Chris Jones. We should be hearing something in the next couple of days with that. But I can't remember the last time we had this many big name players that are going to be available. And that's not even talking about the Justin Fields possible trade, Justin Jefferson possible trade, Joey Bosa. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Then you factor in new addresses, like for guys like Russ, guys like Kirk Cousins. And, then you have your draft. The draft is going to be loaded with talent too. And that's a huge reason why you're seeing such player movement. And yes, it's been well over a decade since we've seen this kind of big name notoriety hitting the market. I opened the show speaking about my New York Giants not franchising Xavier McKinney or Saquon Barkley. McKinney did not miss a snap last year. Him and Bobby Okereke played every snap for the Giants last year. Saquon missed his fair share of snaps, missed roughly a month. Due to yet another injury. And when I think about how saturated this running back market is, although the cap number did go up, I think the Giants are playing it right by not franchising either player, especially at the running back position, because while I do think at this juncture, it's like literally a 50-50 if Saquon is a Giant next year, I still think it's the responsible thing to do, because there are players that you can bring in if you lose him. One I'm going to just mention now, and I've said it recently on a show here. I also mentioned it to Sneaky G, who's got a podcast out in Texas. He's a huge Giants fan. He had asked to possibly do a drive-by on our show in the near future, so I'm going to speak to him. But I told him on his show in the comment box, I said, Devin Singletary has ties to Brian Dable in the Buffalo time. And, you take a guy like Saquon, 27 years old, 3 Pro Bowls. He has an opportunity to link up with, say, a Lamar Jackson or maybe a CJ Stroud while the Giants are under construction at the quarterback position, because while Daniel Jones is going to play this year, it might be a Mahomes-like situation where whoever we draft sits out year one. Another running back hitting the market, a Josh Jacobs, your man, Tony Pollard. And this is what I mean about there are plenty of options. But, franchising him or any of these guys for that matter gives them more salary than you would get over an amount of years if you choose to still work with these guys. So I feel that franchising a running back and paying a guy like Saquon $12 million this year for a 1-year deal, it's not worth it. And I love Saquon, and I really want him to stay. And the Giants have a week to make sure that somebody else doesn't get their hands on him. But we shall see. Xavier McKinney, I do believe the Giants are going to make more of a concerted effort to bring him back. But yeah, Barkley, I'm going to say it's like 50-50. It really is 50-50 right now.
And I think when you look at the Giants, man, well, yeah, Saquon Barkley, it's obvious that the fans, he's loved there. They want him back. But
absolutely,
the Giants organization also has to look at it this way. If you're looking at these 2 running backs, Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, what's the first thing you're going to look at is the versatility, availability. Jacobs checks the box on that one. Jacobs is going to demand a little less money than Saquon Barkley is going to. So that might be what the Giants are doing instead is, hey, look, Saquon, we love you. You want to get paid. We understand completely. This is supposed to be your second contract, your payday. But we're going to go with a guy that's a year younger than you, has proven that he can stay on the field. And, and when you look at Josh Jacobs, he's an NFC East type of running back. Let's be real. When you think of the running game, you think about the NFC East.
Name alone. Who does he remind you of on certain metrics of his game? Another Jacobs that
Brandon Jacobs, exactly.
Had some phenomenal years with the New York Giants, So
that's what I think is happening. I think Saquon's going to get his money. I know the odds were released and it's the Texans 1, Chargers 2, which the Chargers makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. And then Dallas and Giants tied for 3rd. And when I look at it, I think it's like, which team is the most ready? The obvious answer is Dallas, but I think there's more hype to Houston. Dallas hasn't shown anything, especially after a disappointing wild card loss to the Green Bay Packers. But, so I think Saquon is gone. I think he's going to be tying up with CJ Stroud in that backfield to make for a very exciting offense, an offense that we know lost Tank Dell during the season, an offense that Nico Collins took another step. They just re-signed Dalton Schultz today to a 3-year, $36 million deal. So Houston has all the pieces there in place.
Not to mention a very defense on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, and that's the other thing they need to do, because if one thing we know is they have a great edge rusher in Will Anderson, but they need to find someone else to line up opposite of him. Something they can address in the draft, but they still need to go out there and get someone. We saw the likes of Josh Allen today get franchise tagged by the Jaguars. That was one that I thought would happen. I thought they could have got a deal done before then, but they didn't. So, there's things, the Texans have so many pieces in place that they're going to make noise next year. I think we all know they're going to make noise.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Another player, and I want to make this clear, I don't want him because of his age, but a guy that you have to consider is Kevin Byard for the Giants in the event that McKinney does indeed relocate, because of the sheer fact that our DC was formerly working with him in Tennessee. I don't like age 31 on that. I actually think McKinney could get paid, but once again, you mentioned guys at the top of the hour. You look at a Jamal Adams, who was, before the injuries, carving out arguably a Hall of Fame career. He's going to be available. He has ties to the New York market, being a former Jet. Do the Giants take a chance on bringing in him as a veteran presence should McKinney move on? It's going to be interesting, not to mention that Dane Belton coming off a very strong year, and he's under contract, as is Jason Pinnock. So I don't think it's doom and gloom if the Giants lose both of these players, and you have to be realistic, while I don't think the Giants getting back to the playoffs is out of the question, the bigger thing is, are you rebuilding this team the correct way? Dave Gettleman took Saquon Barkley as the number 2 overall pick in today's NFL. It never ends well if you take a running back that high. And I love Saquon, but Saquon is not Christian McCaffrey, with all due respect. But the reason why I do think, to your point, he might get more closer to the money that he wants is because from a ceiling level and just overall skill level and name notoriety, that does help when people, you did have the New York media market pushing you. So yes, he may very well come away the richest of this bunch, but a Devin Singletary or a Josh Jacobs is nothing to feel bad about if the Giants go with that in a contingency plan, as well as drafting a running back, which is also very feasible.
Yeah, because you can't think you're going into the season with Gary Brightwell, Eric Gray,
and Matt Breida.
No, you can't. And especially if you're going in the direction where you're going to have a rookie quarterback under center, that's not happening. You've got to imagine they're going to bring in a free agent, and you've got to imagine you will be drafting someone, possibly in the second or third round. There's a lot of running backs this year. Jonathan Brooks looks like he'll be the first one off the board, but it won't be up till the second round. So, you'll be able
I'm very intrigued. You did mention the Chargers as a possible destination for Saquon. I would consider Baltimore. I would consider Houston as, yes, indeed, the favorite. And I would say the Giants are probably like the third best chance or second best chance because, he is, still a Giant and at heart and this and that. So, we'll see. But Eckler's an intriguing one. I'm looking around the landscape of the league and saying, where does he make sense? It goes without saying that the Minnesota Vikings could potentially make sense, as well as for a guy like a DeAndre Swift. But I have a funny suspicion that Eckler might stay in the division, especially if Jacobs leaves. And now you got Barkley taking Eckler's job in Los Angeles. Maybe, maybe not. But if the bottom line is, if he leaves the Chargers, I do see possibly the Raiders as a destination for Eckler where he's not really uprooting all that far.
That'd be interesting because, but would Eckler actually go into a situation where, as of right now, it's Aiden O'Connell as your starting quarterback?
Well, they're going to be in on, I could see them getting in on possibly J.J. McCarthy. They will get a quarterback. The question is how early. But, the Raiders definitely are one of those teams that could trade up into the top 5 or 6. You have to consider the Minnesota Vikings as another team, as well as Denver. Sean Payton, my God. Oh, I got to speak on this. Did you see the dead money hit on Russell Wilson? My God. What is that, 85 mil on dead money? My God.
Well, yeah, but like I was telling Ryan, the dead money, it's incredibly, 40 million, split it how you want. 40 this year, 40 next year. But because the salary cap is exploding, they're able to do this. Mm-hmm. We're going to see the salary cap jump up even more next year. The Broncos are clearly in.
Not to mention they're going to be jumping into the 18-game slate in the next 2 or 3 years, possibly sooner.
Yeah, so it's I see why they did it. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson just did not see eye to eye. And, what I like about it is that it gives any team and Russell Wilson the opportunity. I look at a team out in Minnesota, the Vikings, where that team makes a lot of sense. The Steelers and the Vikings. If he were to go into Minnesota, that team right there is still ready to go. Where now you only got to pay the guy $1.8 million, whatever the lowest dollar is, and Denver takes on the rest of the $83 million.
Correct.
Why not? Even a team like my Cowboys, why not go out there and get a Russell Wilson? Every team should be looking at Russell Wilson right now because it's literally going to cost you nothing to bring in a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Well, that's the thing, because of that whole situation, it does change, you can get him at a very casual discount. Basically, any teams that have injuries at the quarterback position, guys that they're not sure about, teams that need a stopgap, even if you draft, these are all teams that could and should potentially look at Russell Wilson. And I said this about a month ago. Is there a Seattle? Is there any possibility of Seattle reuniting with Russ, albeit for a short period of time?
Nah.
I don't think so.
Especially because since they picked the Geno Smith's option and all that.
Yeah. Somebody said that a month ago. I'd be like, maybe.
No, dude, think about it, man. Like, why not? Why shouldn't any team go out there? We saw, I think, 72 quarterbacks go on IR last year.
Unreal.
And we now have a designated spot, a third quarterback spot on rosters that does
But go figure. After the Brock Purdy rule became a thing, quarterbacks were dropping like flies last year. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones. Oh, man. So many
Every
guys.
Browns quarterback.
Every Browns quarterback. I mean, it got to a point where Joe Flacco got off the couch. And he's actually going to be returning this year, which I find interesting. I thought he was going to hang it up. I'm glad that he's still going to play.
He proved he should be.
But, man, I've seen some egregious talk out of my own fan base, or even just stupidities amongst guys that work for the majors. Did you see Mike Tannenbaum talking about the Giants should trade for Deshaun Watson and give up their first rounder in Daniel Jones? I'm like, and that, sir, is why you are not a general manager anymore.
Hey,
Deshaun Watson?
That's not a bad trade. I would, as a Cowboy fan, I'd take that.
I certainly don't want that guy. Dude, he went to the mistake by the lake and can barely deal with the media over there. I couldn't imagine the way that the New York media market would eat that guy alive.
No, he'd be sacrificed.
It'd be over.
No way. Over. No, I mean, to suggest that trade, that's beyond me. I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to see another contract, to be honest with you, unless of these next 2 years he can really. If he
could somehow get back to his 2020 form. But the reality is, and I'm not trying to act like I know everything, but given the accusations, the settlement, the court of public opinion, I personally feel that public opinion thing has literally consumed him, where he has really struggled on just concentrating how to get back his career. And I actually share your sentiments. After resetting the market, because the Cleveland Browns have had so much terrible luck with quarterbacks. So many guys you can name: Brady Quinn, Couch, the list goes on and on. After yeah, I know, so many guys, so many. But the point is like, that's really what I think it is. That this dude just cannot get out of his own way from the mentality standpoint of coming back and being a professional football player. And then when you consider how much he got paid, sometimes I do believe that when you're overpaid and then you're kind of stinking up the joint, you lose motivation. I mean, look no further than a guy like a Jay Cutler or a Brock Osweiler.
I mean, a lot of players.
Matt Flynn, who off of one glorious Sunday as Packer quarterback in a meaningless game, convinced the Seattle Seahawks to give him superstar money. Fortunately for them, they drafted Russell Wilson. But my God, it's just the moves that you're going to see not only in free agency, but in this upcoming draft are going to shape and mold the futures of so many teams for the next 5 to 8 years. And this is one of the most – they're all important. But this particular free agency and this particular draft is one of the most important, because there is so much going on with so many teams that are you either going to go up or are you going to fall back for a decade? It's huge.
And what's crazy about it too is there's a certain guy out in Dallas, number 15, Trey Lance, that he might not be wearing a Cowboy uniform. He might be trade bait come draft.
Are you talking about the great Skip Bayless anointing him as he's going to be better than Dak in a year and a half?
Oh God, no. No, but I'm saying is I think teams like the Vikings, if they don't get the quarterback they want, they're gonna look at Dallas and say, "Hey, we'll throw you this."
That's possible. That's not out of the question. And speaking of the Vikings, I know super recently we cooked up something that suggested that maybe the combo of JJ and Cousins could be in New England. I know that off air you mentioned to me that after thinking about it a little deeper, you don't necessarily see that. So the Patriots, we'll speak about Brett's team since he's not with us tonight. What direction do you think they go? Do you think they trade back, or do you think that they get their quarterback?
Well, one thing we know for sure, Mac Jones or Bailey Zappy is not their quarterback.
No, but Zappy, I think, is good enough to be a backup.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But and then you have to look at, I thought about it even harder with Kirk Cousins. This team is in complete rebuild as well.
But they got so much money that they could turn it around.
Right. But going after a guy like Kirk Cousins, that's a 2-year.
That's a 2-year venture. Yeah, that's a 2-year venture.
So, as the more and more I thought about it, I was like, I don't even know if Kirk Cousins will go.
How about the Raiders for Cousins? Are they going to turn into the new Colts that they keep getting the revolving door of veteran quarterbacks?
I think Kirk Cousins, it's pretty easy, man. Because I can see the reunion back with Minnesota.
The Colts a year ago had the dubious distinction of having a former league MVP and a former Super Bowl MVP on the same roster, but neither one of them was playing good enough to actually start.
I know, right? No, the team that I keep thinking about is, I think about the Patriots, I think about Washington. 2 teams that could easily go after Kirk Cousins, but 2 teams that, are you really going to go after Kirk for a 2-year stopgap, or are you going after Kirk and then drafting someone at number 2 and 3? So, because it's like,
I think it's a healthy situation, the former, because of the fact that you can really take your time with whoever you draft. And the Patriots have enough money right now where it might not hurt them to even, because it's a luxury. It's a nice luxury to have.
But you don't sign.
Year 2, the kid starts playing, and Kirk does the Fitzmagic deal with him.
Then that's why I don't see Kirk going there, because he's not going to go to a team that's going to draft the quarterback at number 2 or 3.
But you do have other solid veteran options that are out there. I mean, you have a Tyrod Taylor, who I'm not ruling out the Giants out of bringing him back, but I actually do think he's a move on from the Giants. There are veteran Gardner Minshew, another guy who commands respect in the huddle and can win a game. So it will be interesting. It will be interesting.
I want to, what's crazy too is because now we see with Russell out there, we know Kirk is out there, we know Baker is still out there. I mean, is Justin Fields the first domino now? Is it going to be Kirk? Is it going to be Russell? There's so many question marks, and I think a lot of it is we're waiting on Baker. Baker should be getting something in the area of 35 to 40 million. I don't think he gets a penny more than that. Kirk Cousins, same thing, 35 to 40 million. I think even Baker would get 30 to 35. He bet on himself this year. He won, and he should get paid for it.
Do you think that's why he couldn't get in the stadium in one of his final Cleveland commercials with State Farm, because they just weren't letting him back in? Were they foreshadowing what they already were going to do?
Hey, nowadays everything's a script, right?
Well, I mean, Baker Mayfield was only a couple of throws away from playing in the NFC title game. That was all kinds of weird. I'm like, did that team just lose their 9th game and they were only about 3 or 4 plays away from the NFC title game? Yes, that's what happens when you have more games now.
They were also close to advancing in the AFC playoffs when they almost beat the Chiefs, and there was some pretty bad calls, So,
but you have to understand something. Anything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's going to be interesting, man, because I really like. There's teams out there I see. Yeah, Kirk makes so much sense, but at the same time, what is the direction of the team?
Yeah, it's a 2-sided question, because I think in a perfect world, most teams would love to have the luxury of drafting a kid, because in today's NFL, it's like quick, where in yesterday's league, you sit for a couple of years. Green Bay did it with Rodgers and Love. They had the luxury to do that. It also helps when a guy like Brett Favre didn't miss a fucking game for like 2 decades almost. But the point I'm making is it's pretty incredible of a luxury when you can have the starter and the man of the future at the same time, where it's almost like you already know what it is. But to your point, Kirk Cousins may not want to be in a situation where he gets planted out of there. in year two, especially when he only has limited time to still play at a high level in this league. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out.
I want to see him if the Falcons don't get Justin Fields. I'd like to see him wearing Falcon black. You know,
it kind of makes sense.
It does. It just, I look at the talent on that team, and that team clearly is ready now. They just need their quarterback away, and Kirk Cousins could prolong his career to 3-4 years in Atlanta, especially when you have two great running backs in Bijan and Tyler Aguilar. You know, at least you don't have Arthur Smith there who refuses to run the ball. Number 7 pick.
Yeah, that was absurd. And then you have an incredibly talented tight end who has not yet harnessed his God-given abilities. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see, because there's just so many question marks. I want to hit on one more tidbit of Giant stuff. This is kind of comical to me. Darren Waller, very close to retiring. Now he's coming back and welcomed back, and I'm just like, well, it kind of would have counted as if we cut him if he would have retired, and it still would have been a money situation there. So I'm like, you know what? Cross your fingers and hope that he can be a shell of what he used to be when he was a Pro Bowl caliber tight end with the Las Vegas Raiders / Oakland Raiders at the time. I'm not holding my breath on that. Just, you know, see what happens.
I didn't even know he was thinking about retiring.
Well, you know he's rapping, right?
I heard about that. I wasn't.
It's more like in the positive, like almost like a Joyner Lucas kind of zone, okay. Like a little more on the positive tip. He's all right. One night I said, let me check out, and I'll put it to you like this: he's better at that craft right now than he is at catching footballs and keeping that hammy situation under control. Yeah, I'm just so intrigued to see which way my guys go. The other New York team in MetLife, you know, the other team is sharing the stadium with us. It goes without saying, you have to make the grand investment to make sure that Aaron Rodgers is protected. While I think it would be the wrong move, there is a possibility that you could see David Bakhtiari there, not because it's the right move. It's because it's what Aaron Rodgers tells them he wants them to do. And clearly you could see that Lazard and Cobb and McCole Hardman really all worked out for him.
Lazard he's
bust,
gone.
Finished.
Dalvin
Cook, he should have retired during the game. I wanted him to be the second guy in MetLife history to run off the field and retire during a game.
Right.
Shout out AB.
Man. Bakhtiari or Tyron Smith. It's that simple.
Well, yeah, Bakhtiari, it's just crazy because the man has been so injured. And you're going to bank on him to protect his best bud, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you know, they're great, great friends. And I thought that's potentially why you could see some kind of reunion in Jersey with those two. But I'm like, it would be an irresponsible move by the Jets. So I'm all for it. Go get him.
I like it. Hey, so all right. So as we're getting ready to transition over to baseball, one last question for you. New York Giants, free agency. 3 players.
Okay.
Whether your own or from a different team, 3 players that you would say are 1, 2, 3 priority for the New York Giants going into 2024.
All right. We're not going to get Tyron Smith. I'll say that right now. But basically, I would say hit free agency for your right tackle. That's all I'm going to say. There are plenty of players, but that hit free agency for your right tackle. Bring back McKinney, and you said 3 players, Zap?
Yeah.
Free agency, 3 players. Nobody's jumping off the page at me right now. I'm going to say Devin Singletary, because I just have a vibe that he's going to be a Giant. Of course, predicated off of – I'm not going to mention Barkley. That goes without saying that if you want him, you could still have him. But I just don't know if at this point, if it's just better for both parties to just move on.
You know, you were asking about a place where you could see Austin Eckler. And, you know, I hear the words Jerry Jones, I'm all in. And then seeing Jerry Jones's little thing the other day about if he's got the opportunity to just be all in on one guy for this amount of money or be all in on three guys for that exact same amount of money as it is to get the one.
You know what I would do if I was Jerry?
Get a GM.
I'm not even playing. I would bring in Eckler, and I would also bring back Zeke. That's just me, though.
Zeke's done.
I still think he has something to offer inside the 20s, as well as being one of the elite pass blockers in the league for a running back. Anything else you want to hit on before we move it over to the Diamond?
No, man, let's do it.
All right. These are my predictions for the National League West. Zappy did not concur with me on this. I am just shooting it, and he's going to tell me what he thinks. We'll see how we look and how we agree or disagree. I've got the Los Angeles Dodgers. This team, I got them winning 107 games against only 55 losses. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Buehler on the staff. You've got Yamamoto now on the staff. You will have Ohtani on the staff in time. Right now, he's only going to be a DH. You've got Max Muncy. The point is, this team is friggin' loaded. Winning the division is nothing new to these guys. The question is, can Dave Roberts get them to that next level? I'm not talking about pandemic championships. But when I look at their roster, anywhere between 100 and 110 wins is not out of the question. I got them winning 107 games. I'm still not sold on them in October, though. In second, and being a strong wild card, I've got the defending National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks improving on last year's 84-win mark, +9. 93-69 as a second-place finish and a wild card. San Francisco Giants recently finally made a splash in their outfield. This is a team that I do think is a threat to my Yankees as well as your Rangers, who I think are both very much in on Blake Snell. I think this is a team that threatens both of our guys to potentially snag Blake Snell. I got them winning 90, but I got them just barely missing the playoffs. San Diego Padres will improve upon last year's just total lost season, but it ain't going to be anything to write home about. Just missing the 500 plateau. And I got the Colorado Rockies being the absolute worst team in professional baseball at 58 and 104. I look at storylines. I look at potential stars on some crummy teams that could get moved. I'm going to call it now. I say there's a 60% chance that Fernando Tatis gets traded at the trade deadline this year.
Yikes. I could see that happening, though. As crazy as that might sound, as I can actually see that happening. I thought he was going to be moved last year.
I did too.
The reason why I agree with you with this is, the Rockies, 58-104, that's about where I have them. Maybe getting 55 wins at the most.
They're going to have one win over the Dodgers.
This guy, that'll be the one that none of their pitchers are playing. It'll be the one Shohei pitches. There we go. And he's not pitching this year.
Shohei does his team a solid. You know how, like, when you're getting creamed and you ask a position player to just throw? Well, he's not even a position player. He's the DH. Shohei throws underhand to preserve.
He'll still strike a player out.
Wouldn't shock me.
No, and the Padres, I think you have them winning a few more games than I do. I have them right there at the 74 and 88 mark. Another reason why I think Tatis will be let go, or if not, it'll be Manny Machado. One of those two will be traded this year. That's the way I'll put it. Which one it is?
Now that you mentioned Machado, and given that just 2 short years ago, before getting in trouble with the PEDs, Tatis was considered the push to be like a face of baseball and like the Latino Derek Jeter. how he has fallen since then, but in terms of public opinion and his persona, his reputation, but still so damn young and so damn talented. So I would say, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe Manny goes and maybe Tatis stays for the rebuild.
And the reason why, too, I think about it is Tatis doesn't play. He plays outfield now. He doesn't play shortstop.
Correct.
Machado plays third base.
Correct.
Obviously, we know who they went all in on. What was it on Devers?
Yes.
Last year for shortstop. There's a young guy by the name of Jackson Merrill. He plays out here in San Antonio. He's in their farm system. He is supposed to be brought up this year. He is supposed to be their future. If you're bringing up Jackson Merrill, who primarily plays in the infield, most of his games are at shortstop. He does have a couple at second, a couple at third. But if you're bringing in an infielder, it almost makes sense to, hey, Manny, thanks a lot for everything you did for us in your short time here, but we're going to trade you because we have a young guy we're ready to see play. You don't bring in Rafael Devers to trade him a year later. I mean, but some teams do that. So that's why I could see a situation where Manny Machado is the guy, the odd man out, where you can move Devers over to third, bring in Jackson Merrill to shortstop, or vice versa. And then the Giants, man, they're the team that, as you were talking about, what's his name? Gosh, I'm
Saquon.
Blake Snell.
Saquon. No, I'm just.
I know, as you're talking about Arson Judge. No, like Blake Snell, when the reports came out about 4 new teams, the Giants were the first team that came to my mind, and it keeps them there in the West. And the Giants know that they have a competitive team.
To have enough credibility to have a chance at the playoffs. And I'm telling you, Zap, this would directly screw the Rangers and the Yankees, because no matter how you slice it, I believe that Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell, the two Scott Boras guys, are being watched closely by the Giants, Yankees, and Rangers. I think the Rangers still end up with Montgomery in the end. And I would love to stick it to the Giants one more time and get another player that they wanted.
I mean, when you think about the Yankees, you think about you have 2 of the best hitters. I've talked about this before. Why not have 2 of the best pitchers on your rotation? I mean, yeah, I would love Blake Snell in Texas. I would love Jordan back in Texas.
I mean, if they're trying to change the opinion of the fan base and say, okay, enough's enough, guys, because there's the thing, they irresponsibly overpaid Rodon, but just because you irresponsibly overpaid him, don't compound the problem by screwing Garrett Cole's prime, Aaron Judge's prime, and also screwing the possibility to sell New York for the next big contract for Juan Soto. No. Go out and get what you need to give your team the best chance to compete with the big dogs. And the big dogs right now in the American League are the Baltimore Orioles, the defending world champion Texas Rangers, and the Houston Astros. The Yankees, while I think are definitely trending upward, are still behind those 3 organizations. How much are the Yankees willing to do to get closer to those 3?
I mean, you got to show me.
Yeah.
And then I like your predictions with Arizona at second. I don't think they're going to take a step back. They're a young team that's going to get better. Jordan Lawler, another guy that's coming up from the minors for them. I think he's going to make a splash. I think he'll be right there in the top 5 for National League Rookie of the Year. But the Dodgers, man, they go out and spend all this money. You know, you talk about Shohei Yamamoto. They get outfielder from Seattle. Oh, hey, Shohei, you can't pitch this year? All right, let's go get Tyler Glasnow. Like, they've covered every box. On paper, this team is a 125-win team and will be
no shit,
champs. On paper, I mean, on the show, on show 24, this will be the team I would pick if I feel like we're hitting a few home runs and being able to strike players out. I mean, they brought back Clayton Kershaw. This team knows the importance that, yeah, you got Shohei, but they still covered their butts by bringing in 3 pitchers, 3 all proven pitchers.
Right.
This Dodgers team, yes, on paper, they are the best team in baseball. On paper, they were the best team, if not the second best team in baseball last year. On paper, they were the best team in baseball two couple years ago.
Bro, and this isn't even just the Roberts era. If you even take it back to Mattingly and Torrey, Mattingly and even Joe Torre getting them set up. This is a team that has been flirting with being more consistent at being elite. Just a couple of hot takes here for a couple of statistical values. And there's more. NL West home runs, Ohtani 37. Wins, Tyler Glasnow 18. Yeah, I said it. He's not their best pitcher. I just think he's going to catch all the breaks this year. Steals, Corbin Carroll at 41.
Okay, Corbin Carroll 63 steals.
Woo!
Corbin's going to get over 50. I mean, the dude is a stud.
No, I know he's great. I was factoring in possibly an IL stint.
Oh, I got you. No, I'm going 62 for him. I think he's going to be right up there with Ronald Acuna for top Steelers in the National League. Wins for that division. If they get Blake Snell, it would go to Blake Snell and the Giant or Blake Snell. But since they're not going to, I'm going to give it to Yamamoto. That guy is a
Yamamoto is going to be special. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 16, 17 wins. Let me ask you this. You said Snell's not going to be a Giant, so where's he going?
I know. I think he is going to be a Giant.
Okay, so you got him going to the Giants.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a Giant.
Who, Saquon?
Saquon?
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, they have to. They've missed out on Correa. They missed out on Arson. You can't miss out this many times. You just can't strike out. It doesn't look good for your culture. Right. They've got to pull this one off. For the National League, and then not only that, you're seeing the Dodgers. Right now, while yes, the X is behind the Dodgers, it's actually behind the D-backs because they won the National League last year. They defeated the Dodgers in the playoffs. But the Giants are looking up at two forces right now, and they need to go get that pitcher. If not, then he's, in my opinion, a Red Sox.
That's reasonable.
So, it's just – and then for your home runs, 37 for Ohtani. Interesting. And then, wow, even with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts out there, you're only going to do 37.
Yeah, I can see Freeman 33 maybe, 30, 34 maybe. Betts.
Mookie hit, what, 39 last year?
I think it was 39, but truth be told, like, I sometimes when I think about this, I think of IL stints. The reason I think Ohtani won't have any IL stints is because he's not pitching this year. And he's not going to be playing the field in any kind of value or anything like that.
He's just going to have to swing the bat 3 to 5 times a game.
Right.
That's all he's going to do. And quite frankly, he's one of the greatest hitters that we've ever seen. So it's possible he gets 37. It's possible he gets 55. Is there a guy in this division that can flirt with 62? It would probably be Shohei. He flirted with it last year, but then he just fell off towards the last 45, 50 games of the season. Could it be Tatis and having a
I've got a suggestion of a guy who could hit that.
Victor Conti.
He thought it was calamine lotion.
He thought it was what?
Calamine lotion. He didn't realize that it was the clear. He thought it was like, in McCovey Cove, those mosquitoes could be a real pest.
How many? So Corbin Carroll had 54 steals last year as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I stand by it. I think he'll get to 60. I think he'll get up there.
Maybe
Plus, how much has changed in baseball and the shifts being turned off. It's easier to steal with the pitch clock, in my opinion.
They will do anything. They will do anything to avoid having to bunt or to hit to the opposite way. No, the shift. Well, go hit it the other way, dummy.
Can you see? All right. So with the NL West division, you have the Dodgers, you have the D-backs.
What'd you call me?
You heard me. In your opinion, does this division have the representative of the World Series next year? Let's put it that way.
No, sir.
So you're going with the NL East?
Yes, I'm going with the NL East. And but what I will say is that, am I going to even say that? No.
Don't say who. Don't say who.
I'm not going to say who. I'm just going to say that nobody in the National League West will be in the NLCS.
That's a hard one, sir. That's
I'm gonna tip my hand just a smidge without really saying much. There is one very talented team that plays in the East that has been tortured by another talented team out of the East. I know what you're talking about. And maybe this is the year that they finally beat the big bad wolf. And that big bad wolf might run through as a strong wild card, might run through the winner of this division. That, of course, being the LA Dodgers. I like doing that because then, even though you kind of know, you're like, wait, what did he say? You gotta so I know
who it is. Oh man, Ken.
Because remember, last year's National League champ only had 84 wins. I could see something similar, maybe not as bad, a little bit better, from a particular team in the East as a wild card.
You need a lot of perfect dominoes to fall perfectly in place where you don't have one from the West, one from the East playing in the NLCS. I mean, we had a NLCS championship last year, or not NLCS.
Well, the reason why I think it's possible is because I think no matter what happens in the playoffs, most people will agree that team in blue is going to have the best record in baseball. Does that mean they're going to do it in the postseason? I don't have any evidence to believe that. I do want to hit on a couple of other things before we get out of here. My final thoughts on Jason Kelce's retirement. Knicks really need Brunson, and I'm embracing the recent Rangers cool-off. Talking about the New York Rangers. I have said time and time again on this show that I am legitimately worried about the Rangers having the best record in the NHL because it gives you that freaking curse of the President's Trophy. They could have it. Let the Florida Panthers have the best record. I ain't sweating them yet. Knicks really need Brunson. Granted, just a knee contusion, getting beat by 16 to a not too good Atlanta Hawks team. The injuries are really starting to pile up on my New York Knicks. We need some healthy bodies. Jason Kelce, impact-wise, even though it's not going to happen, I'd love to see the Eagles retire that man's number. And I don't even like the Eagles, but I have a world of respect for him. A guy who always did things the right way. A guy who demanded excellence from his teammates and his coaches. And a guy who was always accountable, and a guy who always held himself and those next to him up to the highest standards of accountability. I just want to say congratulations on a phenomenal career. And on a human level, just thanks for being a really excellent person. He is that. I hate the Philadelphia Eagles, but I have nothing but admiration for Jason Kelce.
And when I think of Jason Kelce, I think of Week 17. What was that? The 2020 season where? Oh yeah,
that's what I was getting at about end coaches.
That guy blowing up. Like if I'm gonna play, we're playing to win the damn game. Why are you taking out Jalen Hurts? This, I hate the Eagles. I think everyone knows that. I hate the Eagles.
That makes two of us.
But I have the utmost respect for Jason Kelce.
Absolutely. Last time I had this kind of respect for an Eagle was Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Brian, I remember when he was at our restaurant at Rainforest Cafe.
That's right. I was there with you. Nice guy. I got to admit, nice guy.
And he is a nice guy. But when I think of Jason Kelce, man, he, like you said, he's the guy that did it the right way. He's a 6th-round pick. Yeah. He was a 6th-round pick. A guy that he had to work his tail off. Exactly. He was going to a smaller school with his brother. They go to University of Cincinnati. They had to work. He saved his brother's career too, where his brother got kicked off the team. And Jason goes and talks to coach like, hey, man, look, he messed up, this and that. He's a kid, give him another chance. And lo and behold, Travis Kelce is having one of the greatest NFL tight end careers we've seen,
He may very well go down as the greatest tight end because, granted, he does play more so in the era of the pass. His numbers compared to Rob Gronkowski, similar to the guy throwing the ball, compared to Gronkowski's running mate, Brady, those two men might write out Gronkowski and Brady out of the history books.
Yeah, no question about it. But, Jason, just everything he has done. And, man, if there's one thing he does, he gives it his all every play. And the one thing I am thankful for is while the tush push does not look like it's going away, at least he's not there anymore, because I don't care what anybody says. That guy is the heart and soul of that offense. He is the anchor of that offense. And the Eagles are losing a big, big, big piece. A big piece. I don't care what anybody wants to say, not only just from how great of a center he was, one of the greatest centers, hands down will be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
8 wins next year. 8 wins. Eagles only winning 8 games next year.
Oh gosh, that's a little harsh. Let's get through free agency first. But no. I mean, congratulations to Jason and the marvelous career. You know what's crazy too is 2 nights ago I was watching Kelsey on Amazon Prime. Next day he retires. I was like, wow, like that was weird.
Yeah, it's been a growing theme, but I don't think anything will be as bizarre as Tom Brady picking my birthday to retire in 2 consecutive years on.
You know, it's since we're talking about your birthday or anything specific, you got to send a shout out to Mr. Josh Donaldson, you know, as he announced retirement yesterday. And we know about the special night we shared together with him.
Yeah, Josh Donaldson, a guy who I just went out of my way to make all the fun of, and he deserved 90% of it. Bat flips that were flyouts, having the, saying the wrong things at the wrong times, like calling a guy like Tim Anderson Jackie. You don't have to say anything to Tim Anderson. Do what Jose Ramirez did. Josh Donaldson, the living, breathing major league embodiment of Jack Parkman. Former MVP turned douche nozzle.
Yeah, but at least Jack Parkman would hit the ball off of Vaughn. You know, who did Donaldson hit it off of, except for the game against the Rays?
That was divine intervention, I think.
Yeah, but Parkman got to rename the pitch. You know, we're not going to say what he renamed it to, but when I think of Jack Parkman, I think the guy that I thought about the most would be Nick Swisher. If there was someone that reminded me of Jack Parkman, it would be Nick Swisher.
Another former Yankee, but he had a couple of more moments that you could kind of take the good with the bad. Donaldson, the one thing that he did do elite, I'll be serious for a second, he was a hell of a guy with the leather.
Yeah,
that much I'll give him. But as far as the bat flips, the cockiness, all the bullshit, well, dude, I get it. You're a former league MVP, but that was so long ago.
If we're talking about Donaldson as a Yankee. But if we're talking about the career, he's had a great career.
No question. He started as a catcher, with the Oakland Athletics. In the show, I occasionally, once, I actually used him as a catcher because Trevino got hurt and I wanted to pinch hit. And that's how that came to be. Josh Donaldson, just go away and enjoy all that money.
I think, honestly, I think he's got a future in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna not as a manager, but as a position coach. I think
I'll tell you one thing: I wouldn't wish him becoming the Yankees hitting coach. Can you imagine him showing them how to run out of the box?
Hey, it might get you guys Aaron Judge and Soto to hit.
Hey, listen, guys.
And
opposite
45.
field. It's 318. I hit it 317, but I'm still gonna flip my bat
because I got under that one.
Because I just got under that one.
No, baseball's here, dude. We got 3 weeks till baseball is back. 3 weeks.
Yeah,
and
3 weeks. We're gonna ramp it up because we're gonna give some serious love to the American League East, as well as your division, the West, as well as good friend of the show, Richie Dorney, his boys, the New York Mets. We're going to get on that division as well, the East. We're going to save your division for last. That is the respect for being the champion. Anything you want to hit on before we slide out?
Boston may not lose another game this year. But they lost tonight to the Cavs, so...
I'm predicting 1 loss to the Knicks late in the year, but they're going to have everything sewed up. Eastern Conference Finals, I'm going to be unbiased and tell you what I really think. I think the Knicks are doing a lot of good things for that roster. I don't think they're going to get healthy enough in time to make the impact that I wanted them to make. Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, Celtics in like 6. I'll give them 6. Celtics in 6. Celtics going to the finals, and they're going to play, I don't know yet.
Celtics, Bucks, I agree. Bucks are playing some really good basketball.
Yeah.
They 6 in a row. Did they
just in time for Doc Rivers to choke when it matters most. And who better to do it against than his former team?
Right. Western Conference, I mean, I can't take it away from Denver.
It's hard for me to take it away from Denver because when I look at who's going to take it away, it's not a team with Kevin Durant. It's not the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's not the Lakers. It's not the Warriors. Yeah, it's Denver.
It's not Denver. The Thunder. The only team, in my opinion, that could dethrone the Denver Nuggets is the Los Angeles Clippers, if they can be healthy.
And after seeing that comeback for the ages super recently in the Staples Center throwdown, I mean, I get it. It's just one game, but that was a tough one to look at. But yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. But it's hard for me to see anybody beating Denver. And I'm like combing through all these rosters, like who matches up all the way with them? I don't have that answer. If Phoenix was a little more mentally tough, I would say that they could be the ones.
Trading DeAndre Ayton was a bad choice for them.
I agree. And I'm sorry. I just don't have that belief in Kevin Durant. That's, as much as we like to rib LeBron, one thing I will give LeBron always over Kevin Durant is that he carries a team better than Durant ever did, because Durant gets a little too much credit for the unselfishness that his Golden State Warriors teammates showed him. I'm talking about Curry, Clay, and Draymond particularly.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Let it out, man. Just let it out. Hey, free agency is 1 week away. Baseball's 3 weeks away. NBA playoffs are what? 5 weeks away. Like, whew.
Yeah. It's all coming to fruition. The NHL also on deck. Their playoffs run simultaneous. And it's going to be fun at Madison Square Garden. Knicks and Rangers. I do think the Rangers have a better chance of winning a cup as opposed to the Knicks winning an NBA title. But why would I say that? I mean, have the Knicks ever won a title in my life?
All right, so here's something. It's keeping it NBA. Zion Williamson, the phenom coming out of Duke University, was supposed to be the next great dunk artist. Went on record today and said he will take part in the dunk contest if he is voted an NBA All-Star. Is, in your opinion, correct answer to give? Is that a little selfish?
It's real selfish. It's stupid. And why would I want to see him when I could see McClung? Last thought, NBA related. Michael Jordan wants nothing to do with the wedding of Larsa Pippen and his oldest son. What are your thoughts on that?
I can't wait till the show comes out.
Yeah.
We're talking about a kid that was being held by Jordan and Pippen in the 90s as they were celebrating their 4th, 5th, and 6th NBA titles. And now that child grew up and is with his former teammate taking his wife. Yeah, that's what I think about it. No comment. Just like Mike. Does that put him in GOAT status with Mike?
I don't know. All I know is that I really love this song.
It's just wild, man. Like, you thought it was a fling, and now we're talking about marriage? Marriage? Your ex-wife is marrying your superstar son?
It's the genetics, dude.
Dude, what's worse, this?
It's the electrolytes. It's the genetics. It's that deep down quench of the thirst.
I mean, seriously, think about it. Which one is worse in your opinion? Watching Scottie Pippen's ex-wife.
That was like his titi.
Getting married to Michael Jordan's son. Or Delonte West hooking up with LeBron James's mom.
Oh God, the latter, and I don't even want to explain why. Until next time, he's Zappy. I'm Richie. Goodbye. My God.